Hey, what is up, everybody? Zero Fast here coming at you on behalf of AdventuresOnTheRiver.com and the Life and Times of Zero Fast.AdventuresOnTheRiver.com. Today I have an awesome guest with me. A lot of you guys might not know who this is, but his name is Skylar Anderson, and a lot of what he does is behind the scenes. But today I'm bringing him into the spotlight. I want him to talk a little bit about what he does because he's a really cool dude. So with that being said, Skylar, for those well, let me just say thanks for coming on and welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, my name's Skylar. I'm a writer, marketer, content, whatever you want to call it. I guess entrepreneur would be the best word. Kind of do a little bit of everything, but yeah, I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, and you really are, dude. You are yeah, the quintessential entrepreneur, man. And I was impressed, dude, because I read one of your articles. I don't want to say where I read it yet. I don't know if I'm pretty sure your name was on the article. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember. I
I
think it
think it was maybe one over at the. It was one on Amazon, right? It was on the Amazon and private. Yeah, I think it was over at the Penny Hoarder,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's right.
Yeah.
I read your article over on the Penny Hoarder. Super impressed on private label rights, private labeling over on Amazon, and I was like, man, this is really good, dude. And I asked you, I was like, dude, look, man, you're a good writer, man. Do you really do this stuff, or are you just like researching this stuff?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of in my business, what I do, a lot of it is research based, and I write about a lot of stuff that I have to research. But it's always nice when I can write about something that I also know a lot about and am passionate about. It makes the writing easier and probably a little bit better. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely, man. And I recognize your writing skill, and I was gonna try to hire you for something regardless, man. But like that particular thing, that private labeling on Amazon, like I needed that to be done by someone who had experience doing it, and I just, dude, not to brag on you, dude, but I just kind of felt like I hit the lottery a little bit.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been good. I think it works out for both of us. It's good. I hope your readers are getting something out of it, and those who maybe aren't a member of your site yet, that they'll want to sign on and check it out because it's definitely got some good stuff in there. If I must say so myself, just some stuff that I've learned elsewhere. I can't take credit for it all, but I try to condense it down into like I guess a brief version where you can kind of eyeball it and say this is the main points, and this is what I can do to be successful in private labeling.
Absolutely, man. And I'm super impressed with the first four, man. I can't wait to read the next four. Um, okay, so cool. Now look, like we said, you are a freelance writer, and like, man, look, a damn good one, dude. A damn good one. It's funny to me that you also sell on Amazon. I know I said that a few minutes ago, but it really is. It makes you kind of a rare species in my book that you do both of those things. Dude, I gotta ask, how did you get started selling private label products on Amazon? It seems so far removed from what you do.
Yeah, it's I didn't have any kind of magical aha moment or any kind of sudden career pivot. I've watched your videos and heard a little about your background and your story, and I don't have any big moment kind of where it hit me or anything. I was actually working another job and just wanted. I kind of heard about, obviously as a big online shopper on Amazon, so I kind of had a consumer point of view from Amazon, but I'd always heard about a lot of different strategies, whether it's affiliate marketing or whether it's drop shipping or all that kind of stuff. I don't even know much about all those. I've just heard the names thrown around, and I kind of ran across private labeling online, heard some people talk about it, heard about some good programs, read some stuff, talked with some friends who had tried their hand at it a little bit. And so really it was just kind of stumbled upon it really. And I've kind of modeled what I do after just picking up bits and pieces from different places. So really, it was just kind of stumbled upon it and got started. I didn't really have a lot. Within the first few weeks, I went from about 0 to 80 in a few weeks. I mean,
That's awesome, dude.
I didn't know anything about it to in about I don't know, in a few weeks, I was already had already created a brand, already got designers to design packaging and logos, and had my first sample. And so I was really just a learning experience in a matter of weeks.
Man, so let me make sure I understand what you're saying. In just a matter of weeks, man, you went from nothing to working on your own brand, having the label design, the packaging, the logo, and all that. That's crazy, dude. That requires a lot of action. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And I mean, I think the biggest thing is just taking that first step, because you get a lot of confidence once you just kind of do little steps, and once you kind of, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And it took me a while, and now I know what I'm doing, but I had to learn it all firsthand. And yeah, it's really just taking action and just taking control of something and saying, I'm going to do this and make it happen.
That's that's really cool, man. So many people I talk to have so much trouble taking action, dude. Like they have trouble with that first step, man. Like they second guess so much. You know, they're like, oh well, if I do this, then this is gonna happen. I can't do that because of this is gonna happen. Oh man, this market's super oversaturated. I can't do that, man. There's too many people doing that already. I mean, they've already defeated themselves before they
Mhm.
even take that first step, man. So
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. That's the, like they say, I guess cliche, but that first step's the hardest to take. And I think a lot of people try to overthink it, because I know a lot of people who have tried this private labeling strategy, and they just can't get over the hump, and they read so much, and they talk to so many people, which is good. It's good to have, to research a venture before you start in it, but at some point you just have to go with it.
dude, that's crazy because I've talked to people who spent years researching it.
Hmm.
Years, man. Like a year or two. I have members of my site who've been on my site for 2 years, man, researching importing and haven't taken that first step. So yeah, dude, don't ever doubt the fact that it is very special to be able to just pick something up, stumble upon it, and like in a few weeks, like bam, 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 and
Yeah.
you're making it happen, dude. It's awesome. It's really cool. Listen, man, what's your first experiment in importing and private labeling? Without going into too much detail about the actual products, because I know it's competitive, and I don't want you to have to reveal any of your products. But can you talk a little bit about your first experience importing and
Yeah.
private labeling?
Yeah. Well, like I said, within a matter of weeks, I was moving and shaking, and I I guess my first experience, I use, for people who have read the first four articles. I know some people watching this will have not read the first four articles, but I use the example of a digital meat thermometer. It's kind of my example product, and I like to do that just to give people an idea of, kind of make it tangible, the idea. So I use an example product kind of throughout this series to help people see. And while that's not my product, my first product was a product, or still is, in the kind of grilling outdoor niche. So that was kind of why I used that product as an example, because I'm familiar with that area. So that one of my first products was, or my first product was in that area. And I tell you, I just did a lot of research, kind of jumped in, ordered. I was lucky enough to be able financially to order 500 units my first time around, and I was kind of just stepping out on faith, doing that, throwing some money at it. But I felt confident about it, and yeah, I mean, that's, without going into too much detail, that's kind of how I got started. Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
awesome, man. And it panned out pretty good for you. That first time out, you actually were a little bit profitable then.
Yeah, I happened to hit it just right when I did it, because as I'm sure you and others are familiar with, there's in online e-commerce sales, there's really some hot times and some slow times, and in the physical products, the hot time is right leading into the holiday
Right
season.
now,
So
right
right now
now.
we're getting ready to ramp up.
We're
Um,
getting ready to rock and roll, aren't we,
Getting
man?
ready, we're getting ready to rock and roll. But I hit it just right when I didn't plan it that way, but when I launched my first product. So I was, believe it was late October, early November of that year, and I was lucky enough to sell a few hundred right off the bat, in a matter of weeks. And So that really gave me the confidence to move forward. If I would have launched it a little bit later, I'm not sure I would have had quite that confidence, because January was really slow for me in February, and but it just shows to whenever you start this, you're going to have different success depending on when you start, probably, if for those who follow this model. But just know that the holiday season, end of the year, that's where you're going to make the bulk of your sales. And so I was lucky enough to start there, to come back to the question. So that gave me some confidence to move forward.
That's awesome, man. So timing is a factor. So timing can be a factor, I should say. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it can seasonality too, depending on products. I'm not a big fan of choosing seasonal products, super seasonal, even though you could argue something in the outdoor grilling area is seasonal. But so I'll see a little bit of uptick in my summer sales, spring sales, but it's not super noticeable. Mainly the holiday season is the big is when you'll notice the big spikes in traffic.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, man, I can't believe this adult coloring book thing that's going on right now, dude. It's driving me nuts. I just, I told people about that adult coloring book thing like about a month ago, and then I swear to gosh, man, like a couple weeks later, I was seeing them at Walmart, I was seeing them at Barnes and Nobles. I was like, oh my gosh, man, I knew this adult coloring book thing was gonna go insane. That
Yep.
thing is gonna go crazy this Christmas on
Oh yeah.
Amazon,
Oh yeah.
man.
It's
It's
all
go-
about timing.
it's gonna be like Cabbage Patch dolls, and then like in January and February, it's gonna be over, dude. It's gonna be
Uh,
all, it's gonna be over.
they're gonna milk it for all they can.
Okay, man, cool, cool, cool. I digress. So what was your strategy back then, man, when you first got started? Was it to develop a niche, or was it just kind of like to sell whatever product was profitable? Did you have like a kind of a theme in mind, or? Um,
I didn't have any preconceived notions going into it, but my strategy has always been to build a brand, not just launch a product. I think you can, if you want to do a long-term sustainable approach, I think that's what you have to do. You might be able to make some money, off a single product with this strategy here and there, but a standalone product really isn't the goal here. We're trying to build a brand that can eventually be taken elsewhere, maybe moved back to your website. You could sell e-commerce off your own platform and even cut out Amazon. You could possibly convince a local brick and mortar store, to carry your product. So that's the value in building a brand, is it's not, you don't depend on Amazon forever, even though Amazon's probably your most lucrative opportunity because it has all the traffic there. So my strategy back then, and I believe will be in the immediate future, is to develop a brand. And so to answer your question, I kind of try to build products around a niche or around a industry as close as I can. That also allows you to leverage previous customers because they're already familiar with your brand. So it's hard to do. It's by no means is it easy. And I have another product in another and completely different niche. But I think building a brand is the way to go.
yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you, and everything I've read tells me the same thing, and that, yeah, I completely agree with you, man. Um, okay, so like, check it out. In your series of articles that you were writing for VenturesOnTheRiver.com, which are really awesome, man. You talk about your strategies for finding products to sell on Amazon. Can you talk a little bit about like how you developed this strategy and how it has changed for you as you've gotten better at the process?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, my strategy is really based on kind of confluence of influences. It's just a lot of different kind of bits and pieces picked up, kind of some of my own ideas. But and people really need to sign up for your site and dig into the articles to get the nitty gritty of it, kind
Sure,
of.
sure.
But I'll say this real quick. When I look for a product to private label, there's kind of, I touch on this in, I'm not sure, but I think it's the second article maybe. There's like 5 characteristics that I'll look for in a product. And the first one is you want to go for products that are not brand specific. Because if you have a brand specific item, let's say let's say an iPhone. An iPhone would be a brand specific product. It's driven completely by Apple. It's their proprietary development. Now, while I could probably go online and find some iPhone knockoff and slap my logo on it and sell it, that's not really gonna. I mean, who's gonna want to buy my iPhone? No, it's not. It's a brand specific product. So when you're private labeling, you want to look for products that are not brand specific. Something like a silicone spatula or something. That's something that, I mean, you might have a major kitchen supply brand, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, that might sell a spatula, a silicone spatula, but so do 500 other stores across the country. It's not brand specific. If you want a silicone spatula, you're probably just trying to go in and find one that looks good, price is right, you're going to buy it. So that's kind of the first thing when you're looking for private label products. Second thing is BSR, bestseller ranks on Amazon. I kind of look through those and I talk through the article about what I look for in that. The third thing is price when I look to find a product. I believe somewhere in the, I think I said $10 to $35 range. It's not a hard number. I think that's what I said in the article. And that's just a matter of, that's where you're going to get the most hits, and also you're not going to have to spend a ton of money up front for your units. So I look at not brand specific, BSR, price. I look at reviews. I talk about that a little bit. I want to find competitors that don't have a ton of reviews, so they're not going to be, you know, leaps and bounds ahead of me. And I look for lightweight. I want products that are lightweight. So I'm not going to sell something big. I'm not going to sell a
bowling ball.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell a bowling ball. It would cost me thousands of dollars to ship those over here and then to ship them out, and Amazon would not like me for that. That's basically the 5 characteristics I look for, and I kind of go over that in the articles. But that's the process I started with. That's the process I'm kind of using. It's been successful, and I'm always willing to adapt. But that's kind of the strategy I've developed in a nutshell.
Yeah, man. And one thing I really like about your articles so far is, I talked to you about this before the interview a little bit, was the fact that you put the pictures in there. You put some pretty cool pictures in there, man. And I was just kind of going through them. I thought they were awesome. I know you mentioned you got some more pictures coming out, and the article is coming out this coming month, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. How much money? This is a big one, dude. This is a big one because people ask me this kind of thing all the time. How much money do you recommend someone who wants to get into private labeling on Amazon? How much money do you recommend they start out with? I know you mentioned earlier, like, you were financially lucky enough or financially blessed enough to have be able to get 500 units of your first product. I mean, someone who wants to get into this, how much do you think they need, man?
It's difficult to say, but I'll say you don't have to have a ton of capital to get started. You don't have to have a ton of money. Obviously, the more you have, the better, because like they say, sometimes it takes money to make money. But you don't have to. I believe I think on my first order, 500 units, everything, talking about packaging, paying designers to design everything, international shipping over from, I believe it's Shanghai to the United States, website setup. I spent about $2,000. But I'll tell you this, I know plenty of people who have got started for just a few hundred. So that kind of gives you both in, and I also know people who have spent 5,000 plus, but I would not recommend doing that your first time around. I probably hit the high end on mine. You probably want to play it a little safer just to see what the market's like, but you can definitely get started for a few $100s. I'm not going to try to tell you you can do it for under $100 or something, but I would say it's reasonable to maybe with $300-400 to, if you can find the right supplier, because you're gonna have to find a supplier who's willing to give you a smaller number of units. You're probably not 500 units, depending on the product, might cost you a little more. But if you can find someone who, say, might give you 100 units and they only cost $3 or $4 a unit, you know, you might be able to get started for that.
Nice. Okay, cool. Let me throw a hypothetical at you real quick.
Yeah.
I'm brand new. I got $1,000, man. Do I use your articles, and do I take a shot with two different products, spending a few hundred on each one, or do I just go all in on one product?
I'd go all in on one product.
Okay, gotcha.
I just think it's easier to, as opposed to managing a couple different things, it's easier to just have your focus on one product, one supplier, one designer designing your packaging and your logos. So I would say one. Other people might have other opinions, but I would want to be focused on one. I think personally, at least, I can give it a little more effort when I'm not spreading myself too thin.
Sure, that makes sense, man. That's a great answer. And I know you kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but let me ask you again, just for the audience, do you have like a proverbial sweet spot, for products selling on Amazon that you shoot for? What is it, and what's your reasoning for that? And I think you did talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, I would say somewhere in that $10 to $35 range is, and when I say that, I'm talking about that's the sale price of what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So I would say $10 to $35 range. My first product is retailed anywhere between $14 and $16 to kind of give you an idea. So I'm kind of right there in the middle. The problem with going below $10 is there's just not enough meat to the margins to justify what you're doing. You might only make a few pennies on a unit or something if you're selling it below $10. The problem with going above the $30 to $35 range is you're going to have a lot of money to get started. So for someone who's able to do that, maybe, you might have higher margins, so you might be able to do it, but I prefer somewhere in the middle. I think it's a safer bet. There's still some good margins to be had there, and you can hit a lot of customers who anyone's willing to pay for something in the $10 to $35 range. So
yeah. True. Let me ask you this, man. So let's say I found a product. It's going for 25 bucks on Amazon. What am I shooting for when I'm looking for cost per unit? What is that price I'm shooting for?
That's a good question. I personally think anything above a 50% profit margin is good for starting, and you can realistically start at a 50% price margin or profit margin. And as you develop relationships with suppliers, and as you order more units, and you kind of develop a business relationship with them, your per unit costs will naturally scale down, and you'll be able to turn that into, you could turn it into a 30% or 60, 70% profit margin. So it's I'd say 50% is a comfortable place to shoot on your first order. I think that's realistic, and you can always improve from there, and I think you should improve from there as you go on and as you have some success.
That's great, man. That's really helpful. I want to transition this just a little bit, man, because it is really cool that you do a few things as an entrepreneur, man. You don't just do Amazon. I spoke a little bit earlier about your freelance writing, and I wanted to transition this interview to that just a little bit. You're actually a really good writer, and can you talk about how you got into freelance writing and how long you've been doing that for?
Yeah, I've been writing professionally for a few years now. I've always enjoyed writing. And growing up, I was editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper, like into journalism kind of stuff. And then when I got to college, I was in business school, so I kind of switched gears on more transition from kind of journalistic writing to more business writing, more marketing. I have a marketing degree, so that was kind of went well with that. And I started working with a content marketing company in college part-time, doing some writing for them. And after graduation and going into the business field, I kind of figured, hey, this is something I'm good at. This is something that's flexible. I can work from anywhere. I enjoy it. It's a big industry with a lot of growth potential. So I kind of started getting my own clients. Sometimes I contract a lot out with marketing companies and work for their clients. And so yeah, that's kind of how I got started. And what I actually, the majority of what I do is writing. Amazon is kind of a side for me right now, and it's because it is going back to Amazon. It can be passive income in nature once you get it rolling. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, but you can set it up and have some money coming in while you can focus on other things. So that's a great thing about my setup is I can kind of give my attention to both.
You know, Skylar, man, it's this FBA thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I did Amazon before FBA, I mean it was, man, it took some work to make full time income. But dude, I I mean, never in the history of man has one person been able to scale something up so much by himself and make so much money. I mean, it's
Uh,
absolutely, it's ridiculous how much power just one person has with this FBA thing. It's
oh yeah,
nuts.
it's FBA is incredible. It's I believe I'm talking about that. I believe in the ninth or 10th article or something, and it's as your users and your members probably know who are familiar with Amazon. FBA is incredible. It really is.
You know, it's something new, man. I mean, it's something new. Even with taxes, with the state taxes and how they're handling taxes with the warehouses and stuff. It's unprecedented. It's unprecedented. So I feel real fortunate to be a part of it, man. I'm sure you probably do too.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I have a lot of entrepreneurs on my website, man, and they don't all do Amazon. You know, a lot of them do, but some of them are straight. They're there for marketing, and you have a degree in marketing. I think that's awesome. And I just wanted to ask you, man, if somebody wants to get into freelance writing, man, do you have a specific thing that you recommend for them to get started, man? Should they go to iWriter? Should they go to, freelance.com? Where should they get started practicing their freelance abilities?
Yeah, it can be it's all about I think who you know, not what you know is what they say, and that's true to an extent in this because content writing is a super competitive, and the reason it's super competitive is you have to fight a lot with writers from other countries who will, I mean, they will write for pennies on the dollar compared to what you need to write for to make a living.
Yeah.
And that's the really hard part about trying to compete for writing jobs. Like I've tried to compete for writing jobs on. It used to be called Elance. I think they just rebranded to Upwork.
Upwork, yeah.
And I know other people try like sites you mentioned and like Fiverr and those kind. There's just not enough out there, in my opinion, to make a career. If you really want to make a career out of it, I would suggest you got to work your contacts. You got to find contacts. You got to reach out. You got to be aggressive, and you got to find people. And don't be afraid to. I would set up a LinkedIn profile, get a professional profile, get a website, and start building a portfolio. Even if that's just writing content on your own blog, get stuff that's to your name and that is quality and that you can be proud of. Set up a LinkedIn profile, reach out to people, and really just be confident. The great thing about running a business through the internet is a lot of times your confidence can be enough to get you a job sometimes. So if you know you're a good writer, reach out to people. Don't be afraid to do some jobs for free when you start out. There's something to be said for building up your profile and making connections, and so don't expect to get rich quick, but be willing to put in some work, and there's plenty of opportunities out there. It's competitive, but there's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, especially for good writers. You know, I get a lot of people wanting to write for me, but they're, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not always good. It's not always
yeah,
good. So I can't roll with it. You know, I need people who can write good. You know, I mean,
yeah.
they're
That's the thing. If you're a good writer, you'll naturally begin to separate from the people who are not. So you kind of have to stick with that and be confident about that, knowing that if you stick with it long enough and you produce enough, even if it's just on your own blog, just some good content, people will notice, people will reach out. And like you reached out to me, you saw something I wrote, and
absolutely.
that's become increasing. I've seen more of that as I've start writing more stuff, I've seen more people reaching out to me and stuff, and that's builds your confidence, and it helps you. And you can then kind of even pick and choose what jobs you want, and you can kind of see where it takes you.
Yeah, and another thing about you that I noticed, man, is you have really good soft skills. I mean, you have this ability to talk to people. When I reached out to you, you got right back with me, man. You were very friendly, you're very cool, and really good communication. You know what I mean? And shit, the ability to write and good communication. Oh man, we need to keep this dude.
Yeah, yeah. Communication is big, and I try to stress that with my clients. And I think that's one of the ways you can kind of set yourself apart. And it's all about, I talk about value adds and adding value to Amazon products, actually, and I believe it's coming up in the next set of articles. And value adds, regardless of what you're doing, are big. For whether it's a writing business or a physical product, anything you can do to make your core product or core service offering better is going to help you in the long run.
Absolutely. Tyler, Skylar, can you talk a little bit about diversifying and keeping your mind open to different revenue streams, whether you're an entrepreneur, working for yourself? How long have you been an entrepreneur, man? I mean, have you ever had a normal job, or have you always been independent?
I've had a couple normal jobs, but for the last 2+ years I've been independent on my own.
Nice.
And so yeah, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I don't think you can ever have too many revenue streams. It's and I know that may sound obvious, but it really is true, because I think sometimes people get so stuck on one thing, and it might be doing really well, but you never know when something's going to change out of your control. I like I said, I listened to your story and about how you about your situation, and I mean, that was a complete surprise to you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you never, even if you have a steady job and you're on a payroll somewhere, or if you're an entrepreneur doing your own thing, I think the more revenue streams you can have, the better, the more flexibility it gives you, the more security it gives you, and then obviously the more money you can make, which is what people want to do. So I'm always out looking for new opportunities. And ideally, there's some crossover between the opportunities. For example, here, writing and private labeling. Now I'm writing about private labeling, so it's a natural.
That's so true, man. That's absolutely
crossover.
true.
And anytime you can intersect those ideas, it helps you be more profitable. It helps you use your time more wisely. So, and passive income is massively important. We touched on how FBA can make this business model somewhat passive. It's not completely passive, but that's really the ultimate goal of a lot of people, is to be able to set up streams of income, do what they love, and have flexibility. So that's kind of why I love diversifying, and why I'm continually looking for new ways to diversify my revenue streams.
Yeah, and the more passive you can make one revenue stream, that allows you free to move on to make another income stream. And
Exactly.
it's like, so yeah, that's really cool, man. Okay, cool. Are there any books, courses, people who inspired and helped you as an entrepreneur as you kind of came up? I know you mentioned you have a degree in marketing. Anybody who's inspired you along the way as an entrepreneur, or any books or courses?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of people and books and all kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I haven't read as many books lately as I want to, because I'm always so. I find more and more that I'm like, I love picking up a physical book and reading it. There's just something about it. But the more as time goes on, I find myself more and more just reading websites and blogs and stuff like that, because that's where all the current yeah, exactly. Books are great, but they're static, and you can online, everything's moving fast. You can trends. I will say, recently I've been skimming through. It's taken me a while, but I've been reading through Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership. He's got a book that's called that. It's pretty good about growing a business. I think I've actually got it right here at my, yeah. It's Yeah, Entre Leadership, Dave Ramsey. It's a good. I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey. He's
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
I actually had a one of his saving money courses a while
yeah,
back.
yeah,
I ended up selling it on Amazon, but yeah, it was really cool though. Yeah, it
yeah.
was, it was
So
awesome.
that's one book I've been skimming through, but it's kind of about growing a business and how leadership plays into that and that kind of deal. So I kind of just like to what I've kind of realized is I like to read more and consume more bigger picture business content because I think sometimes you can get too hyper focused on one aspect of business, and then that's all you focus on, and you kind of put blinders on as opposed to like other opportunities that could be waiting. So I kind of like to read bigger picture stuff, and then when when an idea is sparked, I can kind of go back to that and kind of apply those principles. So that's one book I've been reading. But I spend most of my time online researching and just different websites. I love browsing through Forbes and Entrepreneur and actually I actually get both of those magazines as well, which are actually pretty good. Those are always
Yeah.
nice to flip through. But yeah, so it's a lot of different people, a lot of different materials and stuff like that. So it's always good to surround yourself with as many knowledge sources as you can.
Yeah, Entrepreneur Magazine, that's a good one, man. I got a subscription to Bloomberg Business Week also, and I really enjoy reading that one as well.
I've thought about subscribing to that.
The only problem with that one is it comes very frequently, man. I
Really?
don't have time. Like two more will come in the mail before I have time to read the one, man. So
Yeah, I get that way. I like magazines that are either once a month or even bi-weekly is sometimes too much for me.
yeah.
Can't keep up.
Woo, yeah, man. I know what you mean, dude. Okay, so cool, man. I appreciate you stopping by. Well, being on, I should say. What's the next thing for Skylar Richardson, man? Any big projects that you're working on? You like to share with everybody? Anything you got going on, man?
Oh, I don't know. Right now, it's difficult for me to look too far ahead right now. I'm just focused on writing and kind of growing my Amazon brands right now. Without, kind of the key is knowing when to add more, but you also don't want to dilute what you're already doing. Kind of is the way I look at it. So I'm
True.
kind of just focusing on those two things right now. I'm always open to new ideas, joint projects, things like that. So I always welcome people to contact me. And people can check out my website, skyrichardson.com, if they want to
That's
touch
exactly
base
what I
with
was gonna
me.
ask you. That's exactly what I was gonna ask you next, man. Where can people get a hold of you, man, if they want to contact you about some writing or check out your blog or anything?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It's Sky Richardson, SKYRichardson.com is my website. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email, anything. I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. So just yeah, drop me a line if anybody wants, whether it's writing jobs or just want to share ideas. I love talking with other entrepreneurs and sharing ideas and kind of seeing what other people are doing.
Skylar Richardson, you are the man, dude. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this little interview with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, Cam. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I hope your readers enjoy the articles. Definitely, you're not on Adventures on the River. Check it out. It's got some good content on there.
He is Skylar Anderson, freelance writer, private label seller on Amazon, and I am done. Thanks a lot, everybody.